It's also when I, it's February yesterday, the one that's soccer mom, she volunteered.
Put it in the room and have it recorded.
Keep it in the center. It's really working. There you go. 1,
2.
3. Yay! Well done.
Beard.
We're gonna clip him to his beard.
Sweet. Whoa.
Yeah, I like it.
Now I can't have to keep my inside voice inside right now. I can't mumble to myself.
Hi, everybody. Hello. I'm Rachel from the library. Welcome. If you haven't been in the building, we welcome you. We're very excited to finally have a space where we can do things like this. So we're happy to have you here. And so excited to welcome Keith Claytor officially as part of the Homegrown Creatives Series. So we've been spending this month focusing on different homegrown creatives, people who have either been raised in Bloomfield and gone on, or people who are local now, and are, talented, gifted, and right here in our town, so we want to highlight that. The summer reading theme is Plant a Seed, Read, so it went perfectly with our theme this summer, and it's not too late if all of you want to sign up for summer reading today. You can go get a wildflower seed packet, and you can log anything you read. It doesn't have to be a whole book, it can be anything. So it's not just for kids, summer reading is for adults too. So I am going to turn over the program to Keith Claytor of TimeFrozen Photography. He's going to share his journey and photos, and hopefully we won't be here too long because he's got more photos than you could ever want to see, I'm sure. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Keith.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. This is different for me. I'm glad it's a room of people that I know and I care about. So this is thank you all for coming out and supporting. But this is really cool. Just I'm accustomed to speaking in front of audiences and sometimes talking, either teaching about photography or in my past life talking, being in sales. But this is actually talking about myself, and so this is it's different when you're telling your own story. I'd like to thank my wife for being a huge part of this. Honestly, you're going to see a bunch of photos here, and she was there right by my side, or shooting from a different angle in every single one of them. So for the 20 years that I was photographing weddings, she was right there alongside me. So there's no this without Jenny being a part of it. And that gets started. I'm a Bloomfield native. I'm Bloomfield born and raised, born on the other side of Bloomfield, and was raised in this town, went to every single school as they shifted districts around time and time again. So I've been to the original Wittenberry and Laurel and Metacomet and Vincent and Carmen A. Race when Carmen A. Race was the principal of the school, and all of them. So I've made my way, and this Bloomfield's been a huge part of who I am, and moved to West Hartford for a number of years, and then came back and settled in Bloomfield. And so I'm proud to call it home. See if technology works the way it's supposed to. It does. I started photographing weddings. I guess we'll start with just a slideshow of some of my favorite images, and if it starts to go long, and if I see y'all dozing off, I will shut it down, and we'll just keep on going to something else. But I figured to give us a starting point, I would just let some of my favorite images play, and we can go from there. Trying to condense 20 years into 45 minutes is a challenge in itself. So I got started, like I said, 2001 is when I picked up a camera the first time. I was wandering around Hartford. I had a family member that came in from out of town, and he had to work in Hartford for a few days. And he connected with me, and he was like, let's just go out and do something in Hartford. And I'm like, on a Tuesday? Okay. So we went to Black Eye Sally's and wandered around and just started walking. And I walked by the doorway, and I see this crowd of people inside. And I'm like, this isn't normal from what you see in Hartford. And so we just made our way in. And it happened to be this open mic event. It was poets and singers and just a whole bunch of spoken word artists and creatives. And I started hanging around this crew of just spoken word artists, and that got me interested. At the time, I was in corporate, suit and tie, and I had a fun job. I worked in the audio industry, so that in itself was fun. I worked for a speaker manufacturer and traveled and did all kinds of fun things, but it was still corporate and business and work all the time. And getting to be around some people that just had a free creative spirit made me say, okay, let me pick something up. I know I can't be a poet because I hated being on stage. I still hate being in front of people talking, but here we are. But I picked up first a video camera and started shooting video like crazy and just kind of documenting all the spoken word nights and open mics and all these things. And then it came time to edit all of that stuff, and I'm like, this sucks. And so I sold all the video equipment that I purchased. My wife is staring at me, she remembers, sorry. That was one of them. And then I decided, all right, let's try still photography. And I picked up that camera, and that was it. That was literally, from that moment on, I did not put it down. And when I traveled for business, my bosses and coworkers, they were always like, why is this camera with you? You're going to Indianapolis. And I'm like, listen, you never know when the photo is going to happen. So that was really it. In 2003, my wife and I, we went to Nigeria. We went to Nigeria for the first time. My wife she's from Nigeria, and so her family roots are from Nigeria. And so we went there, and of course, if I'm going, I'm bringing the camera. And so I bring the camera and start taking photos and just documented every single thing that I saw while I was in Nigeria, and was able to tell some beautiful, beautiful stories. This time that we went in 2003. her father, my father-in-law, or soon-to-be father-in-law, was being coronated. It was his coronation, and so I photographed his coronation ceremony. He was elected traditional ruler over the area of villages that he presided over, and so these photos really just kind of stuck with me. And honestly, I thought I was taking vacation photos. I didn't think that I was going to come home and that these photos would turn into something or be something that people would want, first off, to purchase. And I mean, people started coming up to me and they were like, I want to buy a print. How much for the print? I'm like, $5. So some people have a TimeFrozen at a bargain right now. But that was really what was happening there. But at that point, people said, start thinking about putting these photos in a gallery, or at least submitting them to a gallery and doing something. And so I did that. And these photos have been in galleries in New York and traveled around, and they really were the basis of TimeFrozen. I started to just shoot everything. At this point, now I was just all in on creative endeavors, and so, hooked up with friends that were makeup artists and body paint artists, and we just started shooting and creating. This was actually in Bloomfield. This is that tree at our farm, at the 4-H farm, right up on the hill where I think I was trespassing at that point. and I think the model of the tree sprained her ankle, but it was, again, great photo. But it was just, I just wanted to, at that point, early on, I just wanted to shoot. I just wanted to shoot everything that I could. And I really wanted to learn by myself as well. So it was really important. I shot Drake when he was still Aubrey. But it was shooting concerts. It was shooting anything that gave me an opportunity. And then at that point, people that were getting married started reaching out to me. And so I started shooting engagement sessions and started photographing weddings. And 2005 was the first wedding that I shot, that we shot. And it was funny because it was another couple that was also interested in photography and becoming photographers. And they were getting married the same year. We basically said, all right, I'll shoot yours, you shoot mine. And so it worked out. But that just turned into, and I didn't know that it was going to turn into 20 years of wedding photography, but that's what it did. And so for me, as you saw from that slideshow, a lot of what I do, I like creating images, I like crafting images, but I also like to tell authentic stories. And so it's important to just be, my friends. It's important to just tell the story as it's happening, and to do that, you have to know the people that you're photographing. You can't just walk in the room and just start taking pictures, but they have to be comfortable around you. And so it was my job to befriend the people that I photographed. These next few photos are actually one of my favorite weddings, number one, because it was in Puerto Rico. It was in the rainforest, and we just had an amazing time. But this photo was a day or two before the wedding, and so they actually had karaoke night before the wedding, one of my favorite things to do. So here we are singing karaoke, and we just had an amazing time capturing photos. It started raining in the middle of their reception, and that wasn't going to stop them, so it wasn't going to stop us. I always tell people this is my $800 photo because it costs that much to repair my camera. But it was worth everything to get that image. And then luckily I wasn't on camera, but a couple days so basically for 3 days after the wedding, we literally wandered. They got dressed over and over again, and we just wandered around Puerto Rico taking photos for days. And so we caught some just absolutely stunning images. Yes. My personal favorite. I wanted to teach her I wanted her to get the pose right, so the only way to do it is to show her how to do it. And so she got it right. She definitely got it right. One day, I was sitting at home. Well, actually, one of the concerts that I photographed years and years ago was one of the around 93.7 at one of the radio station concerts, and I'm wandering around in the back of at the time, the Civic Center. And I met a couple of people and was introduced to them, and someone said, oh yeah, that's Chad Dawson, and I, grabbed a photo of him and his wife, and we just talked for a few minutes and went about our business. And a couple of months later, I wake up in the morning to a phone call, early morning, and I pick up, and is this Keith? Yes, this is Chad Dawson's lawyer. I'm like, oh. I didn't sell the photo to People magazine, so I know it's not that. But he basically explained that he enjoyed the time, that Chad enjoyed the time that we spent together, and Chad is up for a championship fight in Canada, and he wants you to travel along and photograph the fight. And so that turned into about 10 years of me following this light heavyweight champion of the world, who's from New Haven, local boxer, but traveled everywhere. We've been to Canada multiple times, Las Vegas, everywhere. I can't, Los Angeles, but Bernard Hopkins was one of his opponents. Just some literally historic fights, and so it was cool to be a part of that and to walk into arenas filled with 20,000 people that have paid thousands of dollars for their seat, and I'm in front of all of them. So I had my elbows up on the ring, and I was covered, I was drenched in my own sweat and theirs probably, but it was definitely an experience that, that's as close as you are. And so there's no sport that can get you closer. I still relish those days. That was a fun part of my career. That's Bernard Hopkins about to get hit in the face. I had to step back to allow this man to get knocked out and fall. So I've been able to see some pretty cool things. Again, just shooting and just creating. This was actually a photo shoot that I did for Nora Cupcakes in Middletown. If you haven't had their cupcakes, you would be missing out. But I ate a lot of cupcakes to this day. But we probably had 5 or 6 models and did some amazing stuff. This is a photo shoot that I did for a friend that it was about accessibility. As you can probably tell, that's important to me and my family. And so this is something that was an honor to shoot for Fred. But portraits really became a huge part of what I do. Shooting weddings in 2022, things change. Things change, as many of you know, and I'll explain, but things changed with our family, and also COVID changed. And I had a taste of weekends again. I was like, working 12 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday on the weekends. This is getting old. So let me just bring it back to the studio, and I can still connect with people and capture their emotion in some different ways. So it was really, really fun to start getting back into the studio and capturing some images that really allowed me to still be creative and still be free. This is Joey Bass, a local hip hop artist. He actually puts on a nonprofit concert series around the state called Hip Hop for the Homeless, and so we did promotional photos for his entire team of artists that were all over the place. Faces that you probably know as well. Some of our favorites. I love playing with light. So in addition to telling those stories, I love doing creative things with light that make you either say, how did it happen, or what did you do in order to pull that off? And so I love silhouettes, I love drama. And so these are just some examples of some of the things that I like to do. I actually had this couple hold a flash behind them, just kind of flashed against the wall, so I was able to illuminate them, get a silhouette, get the ivy on the wall. It's just a nice little storytelling shot. I chase light and shadows. I love shadows. Shadows to me are as important, if not more important, than light, because that gives the interest and makes you curious and makes you want to think more about what's going on in this story. And when you're looking at it, what are we seeing? I love shapes, I love colors. It was intentional, and this is, sometimes when I'm walking around, I see shapes, I see things, and I want to create based on whatever that environment is. This is a sculpture that even now, I believe, is still outside the Wadsworth. This was right outside the Wadsworth Amphitheater. And then there was another sculpture, the rainbow sculpture, that was right behind it. And that angle of this sculpture, I just wanted her elbow to match that, to mimic that, so that your eyes would follow it. And so, those triangles are important in photography. It helps build interest. It's the strongest shape that we have, and I think visually we're tied to it. So making sure that that triangle was shown and echoed in multiple places in that image was pretty cool. I love maternity. She gave birth the next day.
Wow.
She came in, she called me on a Saturday and said, "What are you doing now?" "I'm home on a Saturday." "Do you want to do a photo shoot?" "Sure." Why now? She didn't explain anything. We went through this, we probably had a 3-hour photo shoot. We had a session, and she's a friend, and so we were talking and laughing and having fun. And I asked her what she was doing afterwards, and she said, "Oh, I'm going out and I'm going to go sing karaoke." And then she tells me as she's leaving, "Oh yeah, my C-section is tomorrow." So, she was jumping. She was doing everything. So Michelle is amazing. I love maternity photos. This Celebrate Emotion. She is a carnival dancer, and she is serious about her craft. She's an influencer in that carnival space, and so she actually had a costume made for this photo shoot, and she brought all the energy that she needed with it. Another maternity shoots, for whatever reason, they happen on short notice. This was another one where we was, all right, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's do it. So we did some really creative things there. I love using the space, leading your eyes to the subject. Everything doesn't have to be a close-up shot. Photos like this, and they look good on walls. We love having people print their images and actually have a visual representation of it. That's something that I've become more passionate about. It's not something that I care about that much early on in my career, but printing photos and having prints of their images is so much better than having it here. And I will tell you from experience of just over the past week or so, I had to go through 20 hard drives pulling these photos together. I literally have millions of photos over the years. And I'm going through hard drives, and I have a hard drive that has one connector that I had to run to Best Buy for because they don't make that connector anymore. I have photos that are on CD-ROMs. Guess what? Maybe I'll see them again one day, but right now it's not happening. Print photos, it's so important. It's so important. I will say this as a person of color, as a Black person, we don't have a visual record of ourselves, of our family history. In many cases, we don't have that. And I would photograph weddings of other cultures, and a lot of times I would walk in, and there would be a table in the reception area that had their family's wedding photos from 5, 6 generations ago. We don't have that. We don't have the ability to pull that up all the time. So it's so important to take the photo and to print the photo and to have the photo for the very simple fact that we won't always be here. And your family needs to know who you are. Miami, that was fun. It was a beautiful day. I love the timing of that photograph. That was waiting for the right moment, and thankfully it occurred. Again, just capturing people in real environments and seeing them live is really, really cool. We had to do this at 6 o'clock in the morning because that's the only way that you're going to get Grand Central Station empty. And so in order to pull that off, we had to get a permit and go very, very early in the morning. There may have been some people wandering around, but it was important for me to make it look like they were alone. And I used that similar technique of having the groom hold the flash and point it at the wall behind them. And made sure that we had a purple gel just to add some color and some interest. And that created the photo. Again, I love playing with light. So this photo and the next photo are taken 2 minutes apart, but I wanted to show two sides of the drama between this couple. And so I went for, this was just natural light. This was actually in Central Park, you know, that lake with a little bridge that overlooks it in Central Park. And so they rigged the boat and decorated the boat, and they had a great plan for these photos. But then I said I want to do something that is a little more dramatic. And so again, my wife, Chinende, was there, and we had a flash, and we took the flash and put it on a long stick and angled it towards the couple, and we were able to do this. And this again, same light, same time of day, a couple of minutes apart, but it was just something that, you know, we're able to really give our clients a couple of different vibes. This is more from the wedding in Puerto Rico. So it started raining outside, so we brought them inside for a couple of photos, and I set up a flash outside the room, coming through the window, make it seem like it's daylight coming through the window, and captured that. This was in their room, and there's the room in between the two rooms, so there's 3 rooms here, and it's the room where the candles are, a bathroom, and then the room where they were standing, and my wife is standing in the bathtub in the second room with a flash pointing at the ceiling so we could like, we do stupid stuff. We do anything for the shot. Anything for the shot. Another New York City. This is the Roosevelt Island Bridge. This is where I was standing, and my couple, you know, they wanted a shot in the city, and I took the photo, and I go, you know, this looks good, but it doesn't, it's missing something. And number one, it could have been any city. I mean, you know, it's New York, it's 60th Street, 2nd Ave. But I had, again, Chinende, you can see her outline. She's hiding out behind the mailbox. Again, with the flash in her hand, and people are walking by thinking we're all nuts. But we were able to create something by lighting the couple. And also, I used my camera settings to make it look like there was motion. Well, it is motion, but to capture that motion, to show the motion, because it's New York City. And if you're in New York City isn't standing still, but they're standing still because we were able to freeze them with the flash, but you can still see the city moving around them. So this is definitely one of our favorites. Another one, same couple, where we found a bar. We don't mind trespassing again, so we found a bar. We ordered a drink just to make it, you know, legitimate. So we're sitting there, and they had a drink, and I said, you know, this looks good, but can we add some drama? And so I saw a table, one of the cocktail tables had a glass surface on it that looked like a mirror, and then we took a flash and put that on them, and that created a lot more drama than just that photo. Evan and Evan got married in New Haven. It looks tropical, but we were in New Haven. And it was sunset, it was a beautiful day, and there were no lighting tricks here, but I wanted something that showed the sunset in the afternoon and a silhouette. And so we were just able to create something a little bit different there. Back to Central Park. This couple here, they were awesome to work with. There's a guy at Central Park that has that blows bubbles, these massive, massive bubbles. And so I paid him, I gave him $10 and said, just give me a bunch of bubbles for like the next 5 minutes. I need bubbles. And so we probably shot 20 photos, and I kept shooting, and I was waiting to try to time it with the right moment. And I was able to make that happen, and caught it right as the bubble popped. And that was it. You have to be active. You have to be an active thinker when you're photographing, whether it's a wedding or a session. I mean, it's one thing to take photos of things that are happening, but you got to think about what you can do with that space and how creative you can be with it. And that's something that is, I always tell anyone, you know, look for angles, look for light, look for shadow, find ways to create interest, and don't be afraid to keep shooting. If people are interested in photography, they ask me, you know, what websites to go on, whatever, you know, all these different things. Shoot. Shoot. Take bad pictures. The only way to take good pictures is to take bad pictures, and a lot of them. You're going to get better. You don't get better by being perfect. If you take an amazing shot, I will tell you the number of times that I've gotten lucky taking a photograph. They're all lucky. You get good when you can duplicate that luck. When you figure out, okay, wow, you're looking at the back of your screen, go, man, that was pretty awesome. And it was the moment, it was the light, it was whatever set of circumstances, but once you get to the point, because somebody's going to hire you based on what they see on your website. And I got that one lucky shot, but if I can't do that again and again and again and again, I'm going to have a problem. So that was it's important to practice and fail and practice and fail and practice and fail. And the beautiful thing is, it's free now. Literally, 30 years ago, to learn photography, there was a cost associated every single time you did this. That's eliminated now. So burn up the memory card, erase it, and start all over again. Basic photo. This was just this was a fun Indian wedding that we shot. It was one of those 3-day-long Indian weddings, so it was a marathon, and this was towards the very end. But this photo, nothing special about it. But when I saw that pattern behind the couple, I said later on in the evening, I usually wait until they've had a few drinks, and that's when I let them, you know, pull them aside to get a little creative. People in this room know that. But I saw that pattern in the window, and I said, okay, we can do something with that. And so when I pulled them aside, first I set up the shot so that I'm not going to take them away for an extended period of time. But I took that pattern and I put one flash and I put a blue light on it so that I could light up the pattern itself, and then put another flash directly on them. So I used 2 lights to light this scene, and it just looks like a very, very intimate moment in a really dark, cozy space, but it wasn't. I included this photo because, again, it's important to talk about making sure you take the photo. This is a friend of mine, probably people in this room know him, Bruce Carter. Bruce Carter is a community activist here in town, and he's from Tennessee. His mother lived in Tennessee and lived in the same town that my family grew up in. And so one year I went down to photograph a wedding for my cousin, and Bruce said, hey, do me a favor, I haven't seen my mother in a long time. Said, you know, just run by the nursing home, check on her, say hi to her, take a picture. I need to see a picture of my mom. And so I went, actually, I take that back. I got on the highway and started driving home. And then I said, Bruce. And so all right, I'm 20 minutes in. Just turn around. So I went back and I saw his mother and spoke to her for a few minutes and took that photo. And she passed away 3 weeks later. And so take the photos. Take the photos. There will be a time where you will want that photo. That goes to kind of the next phase in my, not just career, but life. Is, you know, we had our son Jackson in 2012, and he's been a part of this journey and a part of every single thing that we do. And, you know, it kind of, you know, we had to slow down photographing weddings. And some of you may or may not know, but Jackson's had some health challenges since early age, since about the age of 5. And we received a diagnosis while we were in the middle of one of our wedding streaks. And so we were busy and going crazy, but we had visited, we were just trying to get answers. And so we went to CCMC and did tons of rounds of tests and received diagnosis. And we found out the diagnosis was not accurate after about a year of treatment. And so we went to Boston Children's. And so we were going back and forth to Boston for months, probably 10 trips to Boston, getting tests. And they finally thought that they came up with a diagnosis, but said it's not something that we can treat, and there's a hospital in Pittsburgh. And so we started the journey over again in Pittsburgh, and we found out that it's a very rare disease called metachromatic leukodystrophy. And so it put the brakes on everything. And it was really, really a trying time for all of us. The journey has been long and difficult, but it's also been eye-opening and filled with, believe it or not, laughter and joy and things that just families don't get to experience. It brings out, honestly, it brings out the best and the worst in you, but it is an absolute blessing to have this young man, 14 years old, about to join high school this year, in our lives. And so we are just absolutely super proud of him. We went to Pittsburgh for what we thought, after going back and forth through all these tests for a few months, that they said, well, we can offer a stem cell transplant, and that's going to require you to come to Pittsburgh and basically live here for about 4 months. And so we did. And these photos are from his transplant day after a round of chemotherapy to reduce his immune system. He had his transplant. And so these are the most important photos. These are the photos you have to take. That's his Like Me a Queen pillow, because he was like me a queen. And this is the time that we were going through that process. But there were smiles, and there was joy. And this is literally, bald head from chemotherapy and going through all that stuff. And you would ask Jackson, hey Jackson, how are you doing? And his response every single time was awesome. And if he was so sick that he couldn't say it, he would put his hands up. And so this kid is our strength. Skip to another phone call. I didn't post, not all the photos, not all the photos. Our friend Toya called me one morning, and early one morning, and she says, I'm turning 40 soon. I'm turning 40 just in about a month, and I want to wake up in Ghana with the sun on my face on my birthday, and I want you to photograph it. Toya's a jokester, so I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, sounds cool, all right, cool. Give me a call back, yeah, here's my email. That afternoon, I had a plane ticket. So here we are, planning a trip to Ghana. And we went for 7 days. And Tiana Charmaine joined us along for that trip. We had an absolutely amazing time. She is a spitfire. And when I say that, I mean it literally. She is a spitfire. This is one of my, I love the attitude. This was another, again, I see street performers, we're going to bring them into the shot. So I gave him some money, and I said, listen, just give me some flames, and we're just going to play around until we get it right. And so this is the same guy that was chewing glass afterwards, I believe. Yes. Just broke a bottle and started eating it. Yeah. But we woke up on her birthday, and we wandered. And we went to the beach, and we took some photos, and this young man, his family had a little restaurant that they set up on the beach, and they were serving breakfast. This beach was right behind the stadium in Ghana, in Accra, and it's like a construction site that was right behind it, and then so you got construction workers, and they were just making breakfast for the construction workers, and he came up and struck up a conversation, and he just walks up to me after talking to him and says, take my photo. That is probably my most recognized photo that we take. And it was not a photo that was planned, that was anything. This was a spontaneous moment that happened, and sometimes spontaneous moments are perfection. While I was there, I wanted to go around and explore on my own, so we had a few days with the team, but then I had a couple of days where I wanted to just see some things. And there's a fishing village in Accra called Jamestown, And so I wanted to go visit Jamestown. It's not part of the tourist destination, but we had a tour guide that said, I think I can get you in. So he got me in. And what I really wanted to do was go out with some of the fishermen on these big boats that were out there. And I was like, all right, can you make that happen? Oh, yes, I can make that happen. We're gonna go out on that boat and we're gonna get some photos and you can, document the fishermen doing their thing. So it's finally time to go there. And on that day, I walk out and it's like, oh yeah, I got the boat for you, I got the boat. You see these fishing boats? He puts me on, God is good. With sewage and fishing nets, and 5 of us got on that thing. The water line, I'll show you. Hear me asking, but I asked, are we going all the way out to that wall? And he goes, oh yes, we don't have to. We don't have to make it out to the wall. This wall, so this was the fishing village. It's also one of the destinations of the slave trade, one of the departure locations. And that wall was actually the tunnel that led the slaves out to the slave ships. And that's what they shared with me. So, still to this day, the people that live in that village are descendants. They have not moved. They've been there for 400 years. There's a white line painted down the middle of this village. And one side was Dutch rule, and one side was British rule, and the last names of the people there are either Dutch or British. And still to this day, they are on one side or the other. So, at least I got a good photo out of it. I got some really good photos out of it. It was an absolutely amazing trip. Hard at work. This was one of my recent projects that actually I had a show for in last year. And it was a show that I really wanted to document and tell the story of tradespeople in and around Hartford. As you probably know, we have a shortage of tradespeople. And people are losing their jobs. They're losing their jobs to AI. They're losing their jobs to technology. And we need people to realize that there are options out there that for their life is not going to send them $300,000 into debt. And so I walked around and went around Harvard and found people and photographed them and got to tell their stories, interviewed them, and shared their stories. And so it's going to be an ongoing project when I have time to get back out and photograph some more. But it was really, really a powerful project for me. That's my long guy. Back to the images perspective. Now we have technology that lets us see things in a different way. And I recently became a licensed drone pilot, and so it was important for me to start incorporating that into my work and into, at the time, into wedding work, and even now I'm doing a lot of commercial work with those images. So this was part of the slideshow as well. This was just amazing. This was one of our wedding clients, and I think this was actually a couple of years after their wedding. I went out they lived in California and LA, and I went out to Las Vegas for a trade show, and I just called them up and I go, you still got your outfit? Because I want to actually take some pictures out in the desert. And so we did some really fun things. I tell people, again, people that are interested in photography, you got to be active. You can't sit around waiting for a photo to happen, and you can't stand at the same height that people are standing at. You got to get low, get high, get near, get far. You have to see things in different ways, and you have to be ready you have to be able to predict the future and know when something is about to happen, and so be ready for the moment. Again, get low, see different. This was literally in the middle of their ceremony, and they were doing ring exchange. And get the photo. I don't care. We're going to get the shot. Be patient. Wait for that little bit of interest to happen. Create the moment. Sometimes, sometimes it happens, but again, here's another image where Janine was standing behind the couple because I wanted to see the smoke and I wanted to see all that emotion. And so she's lighting them from the other side of the room, and I believe I got some burn marks from a sparkler on that particular sparkler. That's it, but those are hazards of the job. Use all your tools. This room, this was during their mini ceremony, where they're getting the henna painted and things like that, things of that nature. This room was so dark. And I just told every single person in the room to turn on their flashlights. And so they did, and that's what we were able to create. And so tell the story in an original way. Thank you. If anyone wants to follow me, these are some of my social handles, but TimeFrozen Photography, the Hard at Work Project, anything like that, you can certainly follow it with. Questions?
Could you speak a little bit about when you go black and white and color, what's your take on that?
I converted black and white, but I messed up the photo and I made That's the honest answer sometimes. Listen, sometimes we're in those rooms where the lighting just is not the best light and we've got 3 or 4 different color temperatures. But the other answer is, it comes down to sometimes black and white just strips away that layer that you don't need to see when you're really looking to tell the story in an emotional way. And so when you're trying to connect when it comes to just emotion, less is better. Less is definitely more. Not only do I choose to go black and white, but I will go, sometimes monochromatic, where it's just pure contrast, where it is not shades of gray, it is black and white. And so that's.
So you sometimes intentionally note this is black and white and change the lighting to make it work for that.
Yeah. If I'm intentionally shooting black and white, my light won't be as soft. And by soft, what I mean by when I say that the lighting is soft is light that is flattering, typically considered flattering on the skin, is a large light. A cloudy day is a beautiful day to take a photograph. Noon is a horrible, that's called hard light. That is where the sun is a pinprick and it shows every shadow and every wrinkle and everything. And so if we want to soften our light, we are going to either shoot on a cloudy day or find a shady area. If we're not creating light, we're looking for a place, we'll find a shady area to shoot in so that we can get soft light. If I'm shooting in black and white and I really want that drama, I'm going to either look for hard light or create hard light. Yeah. I saw your hand up. It wasn't? Wait, what the heck?
How old are you?
That is a very good question, because I've been doing this for a very long time, and I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 next month. You. Well, thank you. Thank you for redeeming yourself and making me feel good.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the shot you haven't shot?
Oh, man. Charmaine always does. Well, I know I've never shot a photo that I'm 100% satisfied with. I don't know if that will ever happen. I don't know, the shot that I haven't shot yet is, there are locations and there's places, and I'm hoping to travel to Asia and do some things. I would love to get back into boxing because that was just such an exhilarating time in my career. But I think, I always talk about what makes a shot feel good. And it's not something that it's not a goal, it's just when it happens. And I mean, people ask me all the time about, what's the rules about taking a good photo? It's gonna give me goosebumps when I look at it and I'm done with it. If the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, it's a good photo. I'm proud of that one. So I think that's kind of answers the question there. I don't know what the shot is that I haven't shot yet. I've been lucky enough to shoot some amazing opportunities, to shoot some amazing people, things, places. For me, one of the things that I'm thankful for is that I am not afraid to take on a new opportunity. If the phone rings and it's a fit, I'm going for it. I'm going to find a way to go for it. You know, if it's a dark alley that we're going to walk through, and if we're in Casablanca in the Spice Market, and some random guy says, "Hey, follow me," I might follow him. We might go upstairs, and somebody's going to sell us rugs for 45 minutes. Listen. We got a good photo.
I drink that tea.
We did not drink the tea. Would you like some tea? No, you got the tea.
All right.
He's not might gonna do it, he's gonna do it.
Any scary moments?
The alley in Morocco. A lot of it has to do with alleys, believe it or not. But yeah, there was a time that it was vacation, but we were. I went with my wife and we were in Lisbon, Portugal, and we were wandering around. I wanted to photograph a castle. It was our last day there, and we knew that this castle was closing. And I've got all my camera gear with me and everything, so I'm loaded down, looking like a tourist. And we get lost in, it's the old part of the city, so it's just a maze of alleys and side streets, and we got lost to the point where we were wandering for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, just trying to find our way out. And we walked by some questionable people, and we made it out eventually.
You have so much confidence, it's very unnerving. It's like, why are we following him?
My goal is to sell a lot of these photos of him and to go back to Ghana and find him and hopefully bless his family. So that's something that I would love to find a way to reconnect with that young man. Because that photo is that's a powerful 1/200th of a second right there.
Did you get his name?
Didn't.
No.
But you know where he was? Know where his family was? I feel like we can do it. Yeah, I feel like we can do it.
Did you want to mention the other ones you brought? Or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all these photos are from that trip to across. Some are from that village. Actually, yeah, almost all of them are from that village. But just another image of God is good. Right? Yes. Was there a moment that I was scared?
I think we saw that video.
I tried to play cool, but it didn't work. It was one of my tour guides. Yes, I just handed him my camera and said, if I'm going to die, record this. But yeah, that's this other photo with the young lady against the wall. That is actually the entrance to that village going down into Jamestown. Each section of that village, again, this village has been around for centuries, and each section of the village has its own purpose. So one section of the village is where they process the fish and smoke the fish, and another section is where they repair the nets. So that gentleman back there, his father probably repaired nets, and his grandfather probably repaired nets, and you see that child behind him is playing, he will probably repair nets. And that's just kind of the way that life is. Also the village, not the village, but the market that we went to go visit, which was an experience in itself. Yeah.
It's not like Target.
But it kind of is, just on a much, much larger scale. You see that street, that row, there were probably 10 rows just like that of that market. And I don't remember, but I don't think this was like a weekend. This was just midday, any given day. That's what you're going to see in a market in one of those cities.
The foreground's just great. That's, yeah.
Just,
Your sense of space and foreground and compression, that's lovely. That's,
thank you.
but when I've seen you work throughout the years, it's definitely your style, and it's that very playful, it's terrific.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like to build layers. I like to have, one of my early mentors said, put something interesting in every single part of the image so that when people are looking at it, and then they look at it again, there's something else for them to look at, and there's something else for them to look at. So each time you go back to visit that photo, you should be able to find something else that's going to capture your eye.
Do you have like a driving intention for your work, or does it change?
It changes, but I mean, when I'm shooting families and when I'm shooting couples, I'm thinking about the fact again that there's going to be a time when they're not there, or somebody's going to see that. They're going to need to see that moment and that emotion and that love. That's important to me. When I'm traveling, sometimes I just want to take a pretty picture. I'm not going to lie. There's times where you just want to take a pretty picture. But this village is something that I never heard of. Didn't know about it, didn't know anything of it. And once I discovered it, all right, people need to see how, other cultures, and see how other cultures live and how they exist and how they thrive. And I'll also say, we don't need to see what we see so often, especially when we go to villages and spaces like this, which is poverty porn. There are people living and playing and thriving and enjoying life. It may not be our life, but we can't keep looking at everything else through our lens. We need to look through another person's lens. And so that's what I'm hoping that these photos show. I've got photos of kids just playing in this village because that's what a child is going to do. They're going to play. And don't tell them they're poor because they don't even know what that word means.
Yeah.
They're living.